years ago, Behar actually would tell jokes and did comedy. That's many, many years ago. And she used to seem to enjoy life. Those days are gone. And recently, Joyless suggested that the people of East Palestine got what was coming to them. Why? Because they dared to vote for Donald Trump. Take a look.
I don't know why they would ever vote for him, for somebody who, by the way, he placed someone with deep ties to the chemical industry in charge of the EPA's Chemical Safety Office. That's who you voted for in that district. Donald Trump, who reduces all safety. He did in those days.
So will America's Democrats like Joyless and the women of The View ever regain their compassion, kindness? Will they ever spend the rest of their lives, or will they spend the rest of their lives obsessing about all things hatred for Donald Trump? In the hot seat tonight, Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce, the co-host of the hit show The Five, Jessica Tarlov. Good to see you both. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. And we're both the good guys. We both got our white jackets on here.
Well,
It's a color wheel violation, for sure.
Well, I would have color coordinated if somebody took me off. Good to see you both.
Yes.
But Jessica, there is an obsessive, compulsive, never-ending hatred of Donald Trump. He's now been out of office over 2 years. And yet your party still obsesses, hates, and, 24 hours a day. Why is that?
We do sleep, and we usually have REM cycle sleep as well. I don't dream about him anymore, at least since the 2020 election. Political talking
You're
points,
saying you used to dream about Trump.
like in the bad way. No,
I wasn't
no
suggesting
sexy
either
dreams
way.
or
I'm just
anything
saying
like that. This has become, and I think it's to the detriment of all of us, a political talking point event when this is a humanitarian event, what's going on in East Palestine. It's desperately scary for people to
But
be...
that's not what Joyless said. Joyless is suggesting you vote for Trump, this is what you get.
I was trying a pivot. You obviously didn't want to allow me to finish there. I would never say something like that. I think it's very important to treat every voter with dignity and respect. It's not your fault, whatever district you live in. If something like this happens, you wouldn't say to the people who live in Flint, Michigan, that it's their fault that they ended up with bad water because they voted for Democrats. And I think that the point would be a lot better taken. And I think there's validity to that point, as we know now about the regulations that were rolled back in 2017. We've seen the beginnings of the report from the NTSB. We do know that there were federal agents, officials on the ground at the beginning of this. Yes, Secretary Pete was late to get there, but that doesn't mean that the government had abandoned them.
They wouldn't even declare it a national disaster.
But Governor DeWine and Congressman Johnson, I believe that's his name, both said that they had gotten everything that they had asked for and that they didn't need anything else. This wasn't about a dereliction of duty on the part of the Biden administration. It really wasn't.
Tammy, I look at this environmentalism, and it seems to be, has now permeated every aspect of our life. It was on full display in Davos, in Switzerland. All these rich liberals flying in on their expensive private jets with their big carbon footprint, which I'm fine with, as long as you don't tell me that I can't eat meat and you don't tell me that I can't drive an SUV. But that's what they're lecturing us, and yet that's their mode of transportation.
Yes, and I think what Jessica's position really clarifies is the actual division for the Democrat Party. Because every regular person is thinking about the moms and the dads and the families in East Palestine, right? That's what they're thinking. And yet, you've got the, you got the talking points when it comes to The View. That sounds like really great music from that phone. That's a great call. You've got people who, in East Palestine, of course, are, they're desperate for help. And yet you've got talking points from, I would argue, from the Democratic Party or the White House for the women at The View. Like, that is they didn't think like and gather and think this is the best way to handle this. They don't know what to say. This is the line that the Democrats want to move, and that is what is so shocking.
Silence? We've heard nothing but silence from Democrats, but they claim this mantle of being the environmental champions.
Part of it is shock, because they also don't know how to handle this genuine environmental disaster that they should be angry about. Like, everybody got together and understood how bad Afghanistan was, where there was no problem with that. This should be the same kind of situation. And this is, and then they blame it on Trump. The reality is they reversed every single thing President Trump did. What, except this one thing? They've been in there for 2 years. So if there's regulations that are bad or restrictions that are bad, it's funny how the Biden administration has gone on a tear, changing everything except this one little thing. And so I don't think people are really buying that so much. I think they're really panicking at this.
Last word, Jessica.
Just that it's an incredibly sad disaster, and I wish that politics wasn't infused into it. And I haven't discussed it when we talk about it on the five. We're not talking about it in terms of political terms.
Why didn't Joe Biden go? Why didn't Pete Buttigieg go earlier?
I don't know. He said today that he should have gone earlier, and that was a mistake. But that doesn't mean that FEMA wasn't there,
Because
that the administration. Because he's not.
All right.
I do not think that about.
We're going to leave it there.
Very
When we come back, thank